Now, before we spin yarns about Lambos and Ferraris, let's be clear what a supercar is. A supercar is a cut above, a thoroughbred among horses bred for pulling carts. These are machines that make your heart thump like a techno beat when they're just parked. Exotic materials, outrageous prices, and enough horsepower to light up a small city. And why do we care? Because supercars are the automotive equivalent of rock stars. So buckle up as we take a white-knuckle ride through the history of these magnificent beasts. The 1960s miniskirts, the Beatles, and the birth of the supercar as we know it. This is when a certain Italian bull, Ferruccio Lamborghini, decided to show Enzo Ferrari a thing or two about making cars. And thus the Lamborghini Miura was born. Low-slung with curves that could make a bishop blush, it redefined what a sports car could be. The Miura wasn't alone, of course. Aston Martin gave us the DB5 James Bond approved. And Ferrari retaliated with the Daytona, a car that looked like it was doing 150 miles per hour standing still. The 60s were a wild time, and supercars were the automotive embodiment of that spirit. They were excessive, flamboyant, and utterly unforgettable. Ah, the 1970s. Platform shoes, disco fever, and a fuel crisis that threatened to spoil the supercar party. But did it? Did it eck as like? Ferrari, being Ferrari, decided that if the world was going to end, they'd go out with a bang. And so the Ferrari 512BB emerged, a mid-engine masterpiece that sounded like the devil gargling with molten lava. This was a time of wedge-shaped wonders. The Lotus Esprit, the Lamborghini Countach cars designed to cheat the wind and look like spaceships on wheels. Every teenage boy worth his salt had a Countach or a Porsche 930 Turbo plastered on their bedroom wall, dreaming of a day when they too could tame these beasts. It was a decade of excess and innovation, where supercars became even faster and more desirable. Section 4. The excessive 80s, greed is good, turbo is better. The 1980s. Shoulder pads, big hair, and enough cocaine to fuel a small country. It was a time when more was always better, and nowhere was this more evident than in the world of supercars. Enter the Porsche 959. A technological tour de force, it was the most advanced car the world had ever seen. All-wheel drive, a twin turbocharged engine, and a computer that could tell you what your goldfish was thinking. Probably. The Ferrari F40, a car that looked like it was designed by a committee of angry wasps, became the poster child for 1980s excess. It was fast, it was loud, and it made you feel like a superhero behind the wheel. But underneath all the turbo lag and pop-up headlights, there was a sense that supercars were growing up. Section 5. The Nirvana 90s analog perfection, the 1990s. Grunge, the internet, and the rise of the less is more philosophy. But tell that to the folks at McLaren because they were busy building a car that was anything but. The McLaren F1, the car, the legend, the first road car with a carbon fiber monocoque, a central driving position, and a naturally aspirated V12 engine that screamed like a banshee on steroids. The F1 wasn't just about brute force, it was about balance, handling, and feedback. And for a brief, shining moment, it held the record for the world's fastest production car, clocking in at an astonishing 240 miles per hour. The 90s also saw the birth of icons like the Ferrari F355 and the Lamborghini Diablo, but the F1 cast a long shadow. Section 6. The noughties to now, science fiction reality, the new millennium, smartphones, social media, and the rise of the electric car. Enter the Bugatti Veyron. A car so ridiculously powerful it made everything else seem like a child's toy. 1,001 horsepower from its quad-turbocharged W16 engine, a top speed that would make Chuck Yeager blush, and a price tag that could make a sultan weep. The Veyron was a statement of intent, a demonstration of what was possible when cost was no object and engineers were given free rein. Today, supercars are as much about sustainability as they are about speed. Hybrid technology is becoming commonplace and even fully electric supercars are emerging, like the Rimac C_2. From Ferrari's LaFerrari to the Porsche 918 Spider, hybrid hypercars are pushing the boundaries of performance while sipping fuel, relatively speaking. The future of supercars is electric, but don't worry, they'll still be capable of scaring small children and melting glaciers. Section 7. Conclusion, the future needs more speed. So there you have it, a whistle-stop tour through the history of supercars, from the outrageous curves of the Miura to the hybrid wizardry of the LaFerrari. What does the future hold for these automotive icons? Electric powertrains, autonomous driving, and maybe even flying cars. Who knows? But one thing's for sure, as long as there are petrol heads with a need for speed and a love of all things fast and loud, the supercar will continue to evolve, excite, and occasionally explode into flames. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a date with a McLaren 720S and a very long stretch of tarmac.